Once again, thank you everyone for joining PurpleCube's webinar today on the industry's first affordable unified data orchestration platform. My name is John Santaferraro, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ferraro Consulting, and I'm your host for the day. Personally, I have almost 30 years of experience in the data and analytics industry, and happy today to provide you my perspective on what's going on with data integration, modern data integration, and data orchestration, and how they all fit together. Joining me today also is Kirsten Kopke, Product Marketing Manager at PurpleCube. You'll hear from Kaushal Rajveer, Chief Technology Officer at PurpleCube, and you'll see a demo from Suryansh Avasti, Senior Data Architect at PurpleCube. A few logistics for you. For Q&A, feel free to put your questions into the chat throughout the webinar. During the last 5 minutes, we'll open it up for Q&A as well. A reminder as well, this webinar will be recorded, and the recording and slides will be shared with you after we are done. Today, we're going to talk about unified data orchestration. What is it? You'll get an introduction to PurpleCube Cloud. You'll get the demo and a conclusion to help you better understand the use cases, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So I want to talk today about the mandate for unified data orchestration platforms. Personally, I've been writing for the last several years about this idea of unified analytics. The bottom line is that organizations are tired of operating both a data lake and a data warehouse, and in most cases, multiple data lakes, multiple data stores of unstructured data in the cloud, hybrid. They're tired of also operating multiple data warehouses, data marts. And what they're looking for is unified analytics, the ability to do analytics in a single place. And so in recent research that I did, 72% of data professionals said that they are either certain or very likely to pursue the unification of data lakes and data warehouses. So the move is extensive. We also asked the question, if you're going to try and unify analytics and you want to make this happen, how are you going to do it? And unified data orchestration came out as the top choice for unifying multiple data platforms. And so what we mean by unified data orchestration is the combining of data integration, data preparation, data pipeline management, and optimization, API integration. And 46% said that's the method that they're going to use to bring their data warehouses and data lakes together. The next answer was modern data integration, which are this new set of data orchestration, unified data orchestration platforms that are unifying all the different processing that we do with data. So in addition, there's a problem. The move to unified analytics is extensive, but most organizations still operate multiple integration platforms. In fact, 72% said they're operating 3 or more different kinds of data integration platforms, including data prep, API integration, data pipeline management platforms. And this presents a problem. We know that along with these multiple platforms, manual coding and manual management of data pipelines are still the biggest enemy of data integration modernization and the unification of data platforms. And most data engineering organizations are still doing far too much manually. However, the biggest challenge faced by most organizations today is the acquisition and management of multiple data integration tools. There are simply too many platforms, and most of them, especially the legacy platforms, are fraught with limitations. There's too much that organizations can't do. And then you have tools that are purpose-built and they are inadequate. Tools that are built specifically for data warehousing don't do well with data lakes. Tools that are purpose-built for data prep don't have data pipeline management or optimization capabilities. They tend to be low on metadata capabilities. API integration platforms are not considered with, they're not built with the metadata necessary for enterprise data integration, data lineage, or other metadata services. In addition, every time you add a new data integration platform to your portfolio of tools, you incur additional expenses and time sinks. First, I mean, I can list some out. You know, there's the cost of a new platform and the acquisition of new resources or skills necessary to operate the new tools. There's the cost of the work required to migrate workloads and pipelines to a new platform. There's the cost of working to connect data pipelines that run across the different data integration platforms. There's the challenge of connecting diverse data pipelines, and it slows down the delivery of insight to the business because of the in and out factor. And organizations are constantly moving data out of one tool and into another. Next, and maybe most importantly, since every platform changes over time, there's the ongoing cost of time and money to maintain the connectors for all of these different systems. And by the way, every time you add another data integration platform of some kind, the complexity multiplies incrementally. And so the challenges are extremely difficult to overcome. So from my perspective, there's a better way forward, the unified data orchestration platform. And so if you can unify in a single platform all of the different data engineering functions from data engineering and data integration all the way up to data prep from the data scientist, if all of those users can operate in a single system, it's going to be way more efficient. If the idea of unified means you do all of the different use cases in a single platform. Everything from data integration, prep, change data capture, basic data movement, migrations, all of the different use cases of data management for all data, structured, unstructured, streaming, batch, at all latencies, in all locations, all the time, and all in one single platform. That's the concept of unified. And then there's orchestration. Orchestration, in order to work and to be able to unify the work, orchestration has to include distribution, the idea of distributed workloads, not just from a cloud perspective, but also from a agent-based kind of technology where you can send the workloads to where they can be handled best. Everything needs to be visual, simply drag and drop to be able to build these data pipelines. Reusability needs to be high. Automation has to be a part of it. Governance needs to be built in. And when you have when you have a rich set of metadata, then the orchestration can also include recommendations for next steps, for new data, automation of all of the processes that were normally manual, and ultimately the optimization of all of your data flows in a single platform. The reason it has to be a platform is to meet enterprise capabilities. Obviously, in today's world, with all of the digital data, it should be cloud native, serverless, elastic to be able to expand up and power down when it's not needed. Agent-based gives it this capability, again, of sending workloads to where they can be best handled. Security is paramount. It's got to be boundless. You can't have limitations to scale. It needs to be defined in terms of all of the data and all of the lineage and all of the pipelines so that when you get to the analytics, it's understandable. And finally, it's got to be dynamic. You've got to be able to change and turn on a dime. And so ultimately, what is happening in these modern tools in unified data orchestration platform, it's for all users, all use cases, all data, all latencies, all locations, all the time. And so everyone can work together everything is possible in terms of the whole data sphere and the whole world of data engineering on a single platform. Any data is fair game. It provides anytime insight for everyone, including instant responses to business events as they occur. And it can be done any place on the planet, and it's got to be always available. And this is what we're seeing in the new data or unified data orchestration platforms. So most importantly, for those of you that are data engineers, you're going to need to understand the value proposition around these new platforms. And for data leaders, this is some research that I did also when I was part of an industry analyst firm, trying to understand how do leaders in data organizations measure the value of IT projects, of data projects, analytics projects. And so specifically unified data orchestration. Time, right? The organizations have to be able to move faster. Resources, how do I lower the head count necessary to operate? Cost, how do I curtail multiple subscriptions for different platforms and cost of resources to run them? How do I move faster and be more agile? But ultimately, how can I shift my use of time, resources, and funds to be able to help my company in the data organization, in the business, to be able to innovate at a faster pace? And so the ultimate advantage, as far as I'm concerned, of unified data orchestration platforms is this idea of dynamic, high-speed innovation. And the way that organizations get there is by, number one, reducing the amount of time it takes to reap value from data projects and analytic applications, increasing the amount of value that comes out of every single analytic application or data project, delivering analytics that are different and better than competitors. When I've talked to CIOs in the same organization, I hear them saying the same things in the same industry. If I ask them what analytics they're doing, they all define the same set of analytics. So if you can move faster and have all of your data engineering on a single platform, you're going to be able to innovate and deliver analytics that are different and better than competitors. The unified data orchestration platform gives you the ability to adapt quickly by changing to adapt quickly to the changing business and market operations, and finally you're able to shift your use of resources to more strategic projects. And ultimately that means that the data organization, instead of being a cost center, becomes a value creation engine. You innovate at faster speeds. The business is able to innovate at faster speeds, not just with new business values, but with the right business values, because it's data driven. And ultimately, you are able to help your organizations continually optimize the value that is coming from the data and analytics organization. So this is what I'm seeing as the value of unified data orchestration platforms. With that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Kushal, to talk about the PurpleCube platform.
Oh, thank you, John. Let me quickly share my slides. I hope it's visible. All right. Okay. So we spoke about enterprises facing a lot of problems, and one of the problems that they face is that they have multiple tools for the same cause, right? Be it data integration, modern data integration, data orchestration, they have a lot of problems. And if we really try to understand the mindset of the chief decision makers who actually buys this data integration tool, or the ground feedback that they get from the people who are using this tool, is that their problems are pretty defined. Either some of the stuff that they want to do, let's say they purchase one tool which is quite good in terms of access, processing, a lot of other stuff, but it cannot actually scale. Or if they have some other tool which is good at access, processing, scale, but it doesn't actually trust. It doesn't bring the trust in the enterprise, right? So whenever enterprise gets another tool, while they were having multiple tool sets, there are literally some problems, ground level problems which people face. And it could be anything which is related to all the organizations. They are running with a lot of initiatives like data replication and API integration, which is third-party applications, or if they have legacy modernization programs which they are running. It could also be like they're adopting to machine learning and AI practices. They need the data to be prepared. Or it could just be like large enterprises where they just want to manage their data workload. This tool is very good at integration, but they really cannot manage the workload. They cannot data or orchestrate the data from an enterprise scale point, right? So if you really bucket out all the problem statements that people face across the level, is that first access. How do I really access all kinds of data, all dimensions of data, right? How do I tap into all the data sources? That's the first problem. Second, if I do have, how do I process them without burning my pockets? Or will it be really able to manage the volume which my enterprise workload is supposed to handle, right? So that's a second problem. Third one is trust. How do I really trust my data? Data may undergo a lot of various data pipelines and it goes to data warehouse. It can be accessed by multiple teams. How do I really build in trust within my data pipeline so that whenever we are running initiatives which are related to compliance and regularity, trust is inbuilt within the data pipelines that you do? And nothing at the last is scaled. If I implement it for one application, two applications, one program, how do I really scale it to the multi-enterprise scale, right? How can it can support multiple projects? How it can support from both the perspective resources as well as the volume perspective, right? How do I really scale to an enterprise? So various organizations faced various problems within these four buckets, supporting a lot of initiatives that they're running, and that is the reason why they end up purchasing the next set of tool, because all of their needs are not satisfied within one tool. Now, here is the exact problem that we really would like to solve within one package. PurpleCube really exists as of today to do three primary things. Very first thing is unification, right? All data engineering problems, all kinds of data sources that you have, you can engineer all kind of things in a most unified way, without compromising your speed, without compromising your efficiency and the cost, of course, right? Second one, for data engineers or for lead perspective, how do I really create my complex data environments where I can run my machine learning algorithms, or how do I really prepare those complex environments, right? And it also should be along with optimal performance. That is something which, again, PurpleCube does with unified automation. The third one is because we have unified all data sources, we have automated complex data environments, it will activate the insights for business to process their AI or whatever intelligence, business intelligence algorithms or reportings that they want to run. So PurpleCube does these three things very efficiently: unify, automate, and activate. And how do we do is something which I'll try to cover. Right. So I spoke about what exactly PurpleCube, which is a unified data orchestration platform, which is available in the cloud is also. The very first thing it does is unified data and analytics. So you could also have structured data, semi-structured, streaming, object kind of data, every kinds of data. It does the unified data orchestration in a seamless way, which will allow you to do further analysis around business intelligence, machine learning, data preparedness, predictive modeling, and artificial intelligence. Second, unified processing. You may have come across a very unique use case of data migration, or a very common use case around data transformation, or it could just be from a data engineer's perspective. You just are expected to prepare data pipelines. It does all kinds of processing in a seamless way. Third one, unified orchestration. So it's a no-code platform. So you just need to drag and drop to create your pipelines. You can monitor, report it, you can schedule it, and we are going to have a very detailed demo around it. You can also have data catalog, active metadata, process automation, a lot of other stuff which is packaged under one single tool, which is unified orchestration. The last one, which is quite obvious from an enterprise standpoint, how do I really scale it, right? Can I have single sign-on, or any kind of Active Directory login perspective, or how do I really support multi-tenancy? Because my enterprise is a large enterprise. I have multiple projects, multiple lines of business. Or can I really support hybrid cloud deployment, or can it really support on-prem? The answer is yes. Any kinds of hybrid cloud, or you have private cloud, public cloud, on-prem, any kind of distribution you have, you can actually choose it. And it also comes along SSO, enterprise privacy, multi-tenancy, role-based access, and governance and security features all along within just one package. Right. Let me dig a little bit further on technical aspects, how exactly we do, and why it is engineered to manage this kind of unify, automate, and automate functionalities. Right. So I'll talk about the architecture. Of my last 16 years of experience, I've done a lot of consultations for Agile and DevOps, where I came across multiple evolutions of the architecture of platform or applications. How do they really support Agile and DevOps? And very first thing is always about, when it comes to digital transformation, the front-end based applications or middleware kind of applications, they always go first. Data applications are always left behind in terms of data, because there is a volume that's always taken until unless it's super critical. So out of my analysis, what I've really seen in terms of various architecture styles there are a lot of platforms that undergo layered style of architecture, which is really great if you have 3-tier or multi-tier application, or it could also be component based or service oriented, which is again a large trend that you would see for most platform perspective, that they're all built through microservices, and you can throw more resources if some of the microservices are down. It could also be event driven. It could be as traditional as monolithic, like Amazon Prime. They were actually application and then move to monolithic just from a cost saving perspective. It could also be peer-to-peer application. There are other two interesting concepts around concurrency and domain driven. That is something that we have taken for PurpleCube architecture. While I speak about concurrency, it allows you to do orchestration very well. Or if you really want to choreograph how exactly your workload, how exactly your agent is going to be distributing your workload, it actually allows you in a very simplified way. So this is the first style that we have picked up in our architecture, along with the domain driven, which is again, you would have heard of a lot of concepts around data fabric, data mesh. So how do we really prepare an architecture which supports data, volumes of data? It allows you to be distributed so that you have highly available and you can manage your workload. At the same time, how do you separate your concerns in terms of infrastructure, in terms of processing? So these are all our driving principles when we design and we engineer our architecture for our platform, and this has been embedded within our tool itself. Right, the heart of our application or platform is the controller, and we will show you. Right after this slide, we'll have Suryansh demonstrated. So, heart of this application platform is controller, which does the entire choreography or orchestration. Along with the controller, we have agent, which is supposed to be installed on each of those data sources. Right now, this has twofold advantages, and I'll talk one by one how exactly it helps. Since you have this agent really connected very well through controller, and controller orchestrates or choreographs these agents and data sources, it allows you to establish a very secured and private connection with your data sources. At the same time, you would see that these agents are distributed, your data, like your data sources. So if you really want to manage your workload very well, if some of the data sources are down or if they're not available, you can still manage your workload with prioritizing the other pipelines with other agents. Right, so these are really two unique advantages to have really separation of concern. Alongside, we have a very unique feature around how do we really process them well. I'll talk about it in a while. Over and above controller, we have a really nice user interface prepared in JavaScript, which has 5 modules: Studio, Admin, Monitor, and Schedule. So admin is a very simple module around you can administrate your task around your enterprise. Studio is the platform where it's a canvas-like platform. Data engineers can drag and drop their data sources, transformation components, and target and everything. They can prepare their data pipeline without any programming knowledge. while you have prepared your data pipelines, you would obviously like to monitor how exactly they are going. So we have dedicated monitor module where you can monitor all the pipelines that you have executed. And we also have scheduler module where you can schedule based on time, calendar event, or you can schedule it on certain technical event, like, after receiving some files and everything. We'll make it very clear while we showcase the demo. We also have engineered loud feature around SQL editor. You really do not need any MySQL or Oracle kind of a client application to know how exactly your data source look like, or the query that you prepared, will it really work, or how does it really perform? So we also have SQL editor, which will allow you to write your own queries. For some of the very administrator kind of engineers, they really love black screen. We have command line interface as well, right? I'll come to the really differentiator about our processing. I left the point around having controller agent connections, right? Whenever this agent controller connection is established with the most secured way, it also does the data which you want to ingest. It prepares into a memory and resource optimized files. So let's say for one of the data sources, which let's say a relational database that you have, and you want to ingest certain rows, what this agent will do, it will identify all those rows which you want to ingest, and it will keep it into a memory and resource optimized files, and it will keep it ready. So this is our processing number one. We keep our data half processed and we keep it resource optimized. As soon as these files and resources are ready, we further push it down to processing platform, right? And this processing platform, whatever transformation that you prepared, that will again further be executed on the processing engine of your choice. So let's say any transformation like, specific expressions, regular expressions, filtering, joining, rolling up, all those transformation that you have written, that will be processed and that will be executed on processing engine. That would be our processing number two. Now, obvious questions. Because we process this data at two places, it will actually it will reduce your execution time. At the same time, because of the distributed nature and multiple processing types, it will allow you to manage your high volume of workload. And not only that, it will also allow to choose your own processing engine. Let's say for some of the large enterprises, if they have very MPP platforms like Teradata, we do support that as a processing engine. Or if you have some big data platforms like Hive, Hadoop, we do support that also. Or your organization is modern and you have Snowflake or Databricks kind of a cloud platforms, we do support that also. Or it could also be a very, very smaller enterprises where they run their entire workload on Postgres or relational databases. And they have done query optimization on top of it. We do support that also. So we have a variety of processing platform capability, which allows enterprise to be pretty agile in terms of the data pipelines that you prepare. This processing platform can also be differentiated when you create your different pipelines. So for some of the organizations or some of the projects, let's say you have Hadoop as a primary processing platform, while if you have Teradata, you can still work in two different pipelines, choosing your own processing platform. Unlike some of our colleagues or competitors, where they actually force you to choose their own processing engine and burning your cloud cost or something like that. So we are absolutely flexible, and actually it allows data engineer and architect to manage their workload very well. With this, I'll hand it over to Suryansh. Will quickly give us the demo how exactly tool works and how swiftly it creates the pipeline. Over to you, Suryansh.
Sure. Thank you, Kaushal. Hi, everyone. So let me know once you can see my screen. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the landing page. This is the page that you see once you log in. So as Kaushal already explained, PurpleCube is divided into 6 modules. So here you don't see the CLI one, which is obviously a prompt based black screen tool on which purists would like to work. So but here on the UI, we have 5 different modules of PurpleCube: Studio, Monitor, Scheduler, SQL Editor, and Admin. So once you log in, you land on this page, which is the PurpleCube Studio. Here you see a lot of information getting generated: data points, data objects, job flows, data flows. So what are all these? We'll get into that. But let's start with the admin first. So whenever PurpleCube is installed, the first thing that needs to be done is to set up PurpleCube according to an organization's needs, right? So here the admin module comes into picture. It really takes care of all the governance level activities that needs to be performed for an organization. You can set up roles, you can set up users, you can set up user groups, projects, agents group, all the things that are required from an organization's perspective to set up the RBAC, role-based access control processes, can be done through admin module. Here you will also see a lot of different configurations regarding single sign-on, repository details, whether it be a Git or Bitbucket, any licensing details, different connectors, load time settings, application settings, runtime settings. All these things can be set up from this admin module. Now, once PurpleCube is set up, let's move on to the studio again. So here you will see the data point. So whenever any data engineering process can start or any data pipeline is being built, the first thing that comes to the mind of data engineer, how do I connect to various data sources that we have? So here PurpleCube's ability to connect with 150 plus data sources comes into picture. You will see all these data sources that PurpleCube can readily connect to. This is not the exhaustive list, just the one for demonstration purposes. You will see NoSQL databases like MongoDB, a traditional RDBMS. The RDBMS is like Postgres, REST API, large warehouses like Snowflake. You will also have some social media platforms like Twitter, again MariaDB, another very popular RDBMS. So with all these things, PurpleCube can really connect to. So let's first take an example of a data point which is a REST API based. So you can quickly select the properties, provide any type of the base URL that REST API has, any authentication types that you would like to set up, basic authentication or 2.0 based, and you are ready to go. You can really test your data point from here itself. You can see a success message over here. So let's say now connectivity established. Now let's uh, build a metadata object around it so that we can end up using it. So we have just created one data point. So with that data point, we can create a data object around it. So you can see all the attributes are listed over here, right? You can click on view data and see some data is being populated through the REST API. So when you click on refresh, this data keeps on changing. Just give it a minute. Yeah. So whenever I am clicking, you can see this REST API based response is getting changed each and every time. So this is how we build data objects. So like Kaushal explained that PurpleCube can able to detect whether the schema is being generated from the source system itself. So for that we have import schema option. So when you click on that and you select on a REST API based any source system, you can easily detect. It can easily be able to detect all the source system that needs to be imported from that particular source system. So this makes PurpleCube a lot smarter, and it really helps data engineers in their day-to-day activities. So now we have created a connect. We have set up connectivity, created a metadata object around it. Now let's move on and create some jobs. So so here's one sample job, which is being created through a drag and drop operation of PurpleCube. So you see all the sources, targets, transformations, actions are all available here itself. So when I click on target, whatever I need, I just kind of drag it from here, and it will populate whether we have any data objects of that particular type and it is available to use or not. I can very well click on any of these transformations, and we can see all the properties that it is being highlighted. So it is giving some alias names, data time, timestamps, integer varchar values, any precedences, scale operations, any expressions that would you like to add. So we have a very exhaustive list of parameters, functions, sequences, expressions, and even UDFs. So if a data engineer feels that the functions are not enough and he would like to add a custom functionality to his or her data pipeline, he can very well create a user-defined function in Java and upload it to PurpleCube, and PurpleCube will be happy to accommodate that request. It also has, let me show you some of the functions. See, we have all the aggregate functions, bitwise expressions, date time, miscellaneous functions, all the functions. So for any any data security requirement that we have, we also have some encoding functions which have base 64 and hexadecimal encoding. So these things are also available at a click of a button inside PurpleCube. So this is one example. So now let's go ahead and run a sample job. So in this particular job, we are just migrating tables with the use of an expression. So when I click on Snowflake and I click on properties, you can see all the attributes are being populated intelligently by PurpleCube here itself. You can change any data type from here itself, change the precedence level, and accordingly. So for the purists who would really like to create SQL script by himself, it is also an option. PurpleCube here depicts what kind of script it is running at the back end to do a certain operation. So data engineers are very well welcome here to update the SQL script and then execute it. So now let's run this particular job. Let me check if we have source attributes. Yes, let's increase the row limit to 2000. I just click on save and I click on run. Here you see all the success messages are available and the job is successfully completed. You can click on log and you will see all the logging level information. Had there been an error, you would have seen an error again being populated from here. So all the logs are available at all the logging level. At all the logging levels, we have different units also to see. You can very well download it and take the logs and do some kind of analytics on it offline also. And statistics also is all available. How many rows did the operation was performed on? So this was pretty much about the PurpleCube Studio. Next, let's get on to the monitor. So till now, the jobs that we were monitoring, that monitoring was happening only at the job level. But what about a project level? So when a lead or an architect wants to look at uh, jobs running on day-to-day basis on a holistic level, he wants to or he needs to go to a view where he can see all the jobs in one go. So here again, we have that job running. So you can see when I click on the fail status, it will tell me what exactly the issue is. Very detailed logs are being generated from here. Again, logging level, we have error here already available. So we can trace what sort of error uh, the application threw at us. So this is the monitor module. Now let's move on to the scheduler. So scheduler is something whenever you want to schedule any particular job, any email action that you want to happen whenever a job fails or a successfully passed, or when a job can pass a successful criteria, you can very well trigger an email. Any file driven events can be handled. Any command driven events can be handled from here itself. We also have very usable calendar functionality where a person can set all the frequencies, daily, weekly, monthly, the start date, end date, any rerun minutes are already provided. Any failure, what can happen on failure, these all the things can be scheduled from the scheduler module, sorry. Now we have very interesting and our most liked SQL editor. So in here you can see all the data sources that can be that are connected to the PurpleCube for this particular project. So from here itself, there is no need for data engineer to go to different sources each and every time whenever they want to do some sort of profiling on any of the source systems. So a data engineer can very well query Snowflake, sorry, Postgres, and again, it can come down to MySQL or Snowflake and query all the systems from here itself. So, and we maintain all the query log also. So any query that a user ran, he just want to click it, add to an editor, and the query is available to run. So all these queries can be run at any point of time from the database, from all the source systems that are available. Okay, we just saw an error because it ran through a connection which we have not established already. So you can also see all the connection infos for which source system that you want to connect to. Okay, so we just saw admin module where we saw how we can set up all the governance role-based access controls. We saw the studio where we created a connection, created an object around it, created a data flow. We saw a holistic level of monitoring. We saw a scheduler where we easily can schedule the jobs in calendar functionality. And we also just saw the SQL editor where we can query all the source systems at the same time. So that's pretty much PurpleCube on a high level for you. So let's move on to some questions if you may have.
We have questions at the last, Suryansh. I'll
Okay,
cover some of the
sure.
use cases and then we'll go.
Okay, sure, Kaushal,
Great.
please.
Thank you so much, Suryansh. So now let me go back to the slides. Quite an obvious question, right? Uh, this tool has a lot of capabilities and functionalities. How do you really see your clients or your customers using them? So we have listed some of the very popular use cases that you would like to see, and that depicts the overall trends in the data industry, right? So data lake, data warehouse operations, you want to move your data from one place, transform it, and then put it into your data warehouse. So all those kind of operations are being managed, very standard and very most popular, widely used use case. It's also used for data catalogs. So off the shelf, we have been seeing a lot of data governance initiatives for large enterprises. Either GDPR compliance or NDMO compliances, and there are some generic compliances which comes within as a policy within the enterprise, right? So they really need to catalog the data, where exactly this data is being processed, what is the lineage. So we do have a metadata repository and which has a bidirectional uh, setup. So if you have any specialized tools for data catalog, preparing business velocities, or even running those data governance initiative, we are pretty flexible in terms of sharing or metadata, whatever you do with the platform, feeding it back to your specialized platform to stay compliant in terms of data catalog uh, initiatives. The third one is data migration. Quite obvious, a lot of systems undergo a lot of changes and they really require data migration. They just need to lift and shift. And we have a wizard where you actually need not worry about how exactly data would look like. You just can lift your data and shift it into your target. So we have data migration wizard. That's also something which we have seen our clients often using it. Data pipelines, again, a very common use case. How do you really orchestrate your data coming from various sources, posing them for some time, and then putting transformation or running them on cleansing components, avoiding those low quality sources, and then putting them into your data warehouse is something which all the engineers do through a data pipeline. This is again one of the standard use case that we support through a data pipeline, and you would have already seen that how efficient and how quick an engineer can prepare data pipeline without having any specific programming knowledge. So that's again one of the common initiative that we see across our clients: data orchestration and data pipeline. Data preparation, again with the advent of generative AI and initiatives, machine learning engineers need their data ready. So how do they really prepare their data with comprehensive dimensions, preparing with utmost quality before running those machine learning models is something which is data preparation. And our clients have been using it very consistently for preparation, data preparation front for all machine learning use cases. Data quality and governance, I spoke about some of the catalog initiatives, which actually feeds back to your governance initiatives as well. We do support running a robust data quality while the data is in motion. So all the pipelines that we prepare, you already have seen that, how do you really mask your data or personal information before putting them into your your data warehouse, or if you really want to see how exactly quality or precision of your data, which is moving to your data warehouse, you can actually control seamlessly with the platform. Third one, data modernization. You would have seen a lot of customers adopting to Snowflake, Databricks, or Amazon S3 as your blob storage kind of a very advanced data storage solutions, right? And that's where your data modernization initiative comes in. You already have seen that this tool supports more than 150 kinds of data sourcing, and we're pretty flexible in terms of choosing your processing engine, and that includes all the latest modern data warehouse and data processing platform that I spoke about. Ranges like Snowflake, Databricks, Google BigQuery, anything you have, you name it, we have it, right? So that's again one of the common initiatives that large enterprises have, and they've been using this very efficiently. Last but not the least, around business objective, customer 360 initiatives. How to really segment and understand your customer and run your customer analytics based on the data that you have for your customer. How do you really upsell and resell some of your services? So we have seen right ranging from small enterprises to large enterprises. They're running very dedicated and focused customer 360 initiatives where they really see how exactly their customers are behaving with them. So a lot of behavioral analysis and everything. Uh, they are using this tool for doing those analytics for customer perspective. Very common initiatives, I think. Staying in this industry, you would have already seen these kind of initiatives quite often running on your organizations. And how do you really use this tool from that perspective? With this, I will leave the floor open for question and answer. I really encourage, if you have any specific questions, let me know. I'll pick those questions and we can take those questions. Okay, one of the standard questions that we always get is, what's your licensing model? And it's pretty straightforward. Happy to tell you that, it's a single line item kind of an licensing model that we have. You can visit our website, corporate website, purplecube.ai, and you would see all the licensing connectors, data sources that we support, and how exactly it is bundled into a single license policy. So you can very well visit our website. It's quite comprehensive, comprising a lot of resources alongside the licensing details. Yes, questions, please.
Kaushal,
Sure.
I have some questions. I meet with obviously vendors from the entire data and analytics industry. And when I'm meeting with a client, I often, they want to know, it's like, well, we've already invested in data integration. We have the platform installed. It's running mission critical business operations. How would you recommend that they start with PurpleCube?
I'll see some of the proven approaches instead of my own personal view. To be honest, John, some of the industry giants, like one of the telecom industry in US, one of the largest customer, even similar thing which happened with Middle Eastern customers as well. They've been asking about their using tool X, and they're really liked and they're hooked onto this tool. How do they really start with the journey with PurpleCube? Our approach has always been, and it's been proven approach, that whatever initiatives that they have, like 360, or I spoke about data migration approach, or they have programs running on data modernizations, that is the place where they start. They use this tool because this is a pretty good union of the large work, managing the workload at the same time. How do you really have modern feel about the tool, right? It's a perfect union of managing high work load. At the same time, it's pretty agile and pretty new generation, new modern kind of tool. So they use it for those initiatives to begin with. And once they have penetration within their enterprises, and once they have return on investment on those initiatives using this tool, they further penetrate, and then that's how they expand within the organization. That's the approach that we have seen, and we have seen it at most success with 4 of our customers, to be precise.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've also reviewed a lot of different platforms that are very light on metadata. And you talked about this active use of metadata. Can you talk a little bit about how do you get metadata from sources? How do you store it? And then what's the potential for active use of metadata? What kinds of things can the organizations expect to be able to do with it?
Sure. You would have already seen the Suryan's demo it. Whenever data engineers or data leads are not sure how exactly the data is going to look like, we can actually import the schema. And that is the way, is the first step, that our tool is so intelligent to understand how your data is going to look like. It uses the metadata discovery module. What it really does, that it connects with the data sources and understands how this data is structured. So primarily, if I speak in terms of the data language, it understands the data fabric, right? And with using that data fabric, how do we really capitalize for processing high volume of data? And at the same time, if something goes wrong, how to really use this active metadata in terms of processing and activating the insights for it, is something that it does it very smartly and intelligently. And that is one of the reasons why, a lot of our customers are very hooked on this tool, that because it uses the active metadata, which is a very common concepts of data fabric. How to really use and ingest or transform your metadata using data fabric principle, and you do not disturb your overall fabric, is something that is where that principle has been used while we do ETL, ELT, data transformation, or data orchestration.
Yeah, beautiful. I also have noticed a trend. Anybody that I talk to that is an end user organization, they are migrating something. So what are a couple of things that are either best practices or maybe some things that organizations can do in a migration with PurpleCube that they can't do on other platforms?
Exactly. Again, very good question, John. And what really happens when you migrate your data, you really do not worry about how exactly it looks like. Whatever data that you have on the left side, you just need to use it, lift it, and shift it to a right side. Right? That's a common use case for data migration. Along with a lot of other complex things that you have, like routines and data store procedures and a lot of other stuff that you have. Now, we have come up with a wizard within PurpleCube for data engineer very specifically, where within just 5 clicks, and I'm very conscious of 5 clicks, you can choose your data source and you can choose your data target. You need not worry about what kind of data source it is or what kind of data target it is. It will make those compatible SQL statements, and it will create new tables if they are not already existing. And it will migrate all the data that you have from your left side, which is your data source, and it will put it into your right side, which is your target. You really do not need to worry. And again, going back to the same concept around data fabric, we do not disturb data fabric. And that is the reason why whatever data that we lift from your data source, we simply put it into data target. Before that, we run certain SQL queries, which are native to your target system, so that they are memory optimized, and accordingly, it is compatible with your target platform. And it puts your data into your data warehouse. So for engineers, it's very, very easy. Just 5 clicks, and you can start migrating your data. Very simple.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Another
data
trend.
migration is, yeah, by the way, data migration is very common concept. Most organizations, they are running with some or other kind of migration for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I've seen, Kashal, is that if especially for growth organizations, if somebody is migrating today or has migrated in the last couple of years, they're going to migrate again in 5 years because technology is changing so fast. Is there anything that you're doing that is future proofing things so that if I migrate today and need to migrate again in 5 years, there's reusability or it's going to be easier? What are you doing in PurpleCube for that?
Sure, I'll have 3 bullet items to support this statement. Very first thing is that we use active metadata and we do not disturb the data fabric. So irrespective of changing your data sources or anything which you take it in your future, your data is going to look like same. because you already have those kind of data warehouse. You're just changing your technology, right? So since we do not touch on the data fabric, it really allows us to be future ready, even though if you really want to shift it to a new tool. Second, we have engineering team, which is pretty agile and modern. So as of now, we support more than 150 data sources. As long as new technology comes in, new tools comes in, new data processing platform comes in, we make those tools already as part of our data source connectors or data target connectors, right? So we keep on upgrading all the list of our data sources. Whatever new technologies that we see, we keep them importing within our source connectors. At the same time, if some of your data organizations or your data sources keep on upgrading, or your vendor does not support certain versions of your data source systems, we do upgrade those as well. Like we are using Postgres 9, and tomorrow some of the organizations say that we no longer support Postgres 9. How about Postgres 15? We'll try to upgrade it within our data source connectors. So all the connectors that you are using for your data pipelines, you keep them upgrading based on your need, based on your customized need. So your data source and everything is there. So data fabric, we keep them intact. Second, we keep on introducing new technologies, keep on adding new technologies and processing platform. And third, upgrading the already existing data sources after they become sunset or everything. So combination of three, it really helps us to stay ahead in terms of whatever kind of a roadmap that you have in terms of technology, futuristic roadmap. We do support them very well.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question. In complex environments, organizations spend a lot of time on break and fix with data drift, and you change one pipeline changes and three others break. What do you do within PurpleCube to be able to help manage these complex environments, understand impacted change, all that's necessary for data pipeline optimization?
Sure. Again, something which is a feature which is very close to us. Right now, whenever I create a data pipeline, if something is broken, some of the data source has changed, or some of the data objects have changed, what it will really do is that the data pipeline that I've prepared, it will throw an error. We have a compilation module within the tool itself. What it really does is compiles the pipeline that you have prepared. So if it detects any changes in your data sources, which is data point or data objects, it automatically highlights that there are some problems. Compilation would fail. Like you would already seen Suryansh running and some of things were not working, it was throwing an error. So it already has a functionality to detect those changes if it has already happened something, right? So this is one step. Now, capitalizing this information that we have, that something has already got broken, how do we really use it for further advancement is something that's on our roadmap. How do we really leverage machine learning and artificial intelligence to auto-hull those pipelines, right? So engineers, when they are preparing pipelines, they end up breaking up while trialing something or something other. So we are going to have a next version of our tool, which is scheduled to release end of this year, which will have auto healing pipeline. At this moment, we already have compilation module, which will be able to auto detect the changes that has happened to your data sources or your data pipeline per se. But we're also going to have advanced feature around auto healing.
Awesome. Kaushal, Suryansh, thank you so much. Kirsten, I'll turn it over to you to close us out.
Perfect. Thanks, John. So with regards to next steps, we have two options. So first of all, you can download PurpleCube's free trial on Microsoft Azure Marketplace. So here's the link that is provided. You can just search for PurpleCube and you can download PurpleCube for free for 30 days. The second option is you can book a personalized demo via our website. So just head to www.purplecube.ai and you may click the book a demo tab button. And there you can follow the steps, fill in the form, and someone from the team will be in contact with you shortly. Okay, so thanks everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us during this webinar. Please keep an eye out for my follow-up email. I will include our white paper on data orchestration, as well as the full recording of today's webinar. If you need to get hold of anyone on the team, here's my email address. It's kirsten.kopke@purplecube.ai, as well as our website, www.purplecube.ai. Please feel free to contact us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.